Hi everyone, we're back to another lesson from this Laravel from A to Z tutorial. Glad to be with you again. So on the last lessons we passed by a lot of things, from how to use middleware, how to create resources in terms of views using the Blade engine, how to actually render things on screen, and then also validate the data that you receive on your form, right? So after that, on the previous lesson, we started seeing now entering more in terms of the database. In this case, we first saw the migration file. How do we create a migration file? And this lesson now is the first lesson out of two where we are going to learn how to actually create data, insert data from the contact form on your database. So again, I just opened the demo project that I always use. You can download it from the GitHub. And here, what I'm actually having here is the normal tree structure of Laravel. And let's just take a look of what we had done here in terms of this contact form. So we have this contact form 2018, just as an example, with some fields here, 4 fields: name, email, reason, and notes. So if I just click on the send information, as you know from the 2 lessons ago, when we do the validations, we just are validating names and emails, and of course the drop down here, and also the notes. So how can we now access this information and actually start using that information to then record it on our database? So just let me just put here some information on the form. So I'm just going to laraning.com. And then some notes, and of course when I click on the send information, as you know, it already goes to our controller here on this contacts as controller, and we have this method here called store, where we pass this form request that we saw also on some lessons ago. And then I'm just going to do here a dump and die just to see what comes from the request itself. So as you can see, we now have here this form request that is a contact as request coming from the form request that then inherits from the request class itself. And of course we then have here all the attributes that we can see. So for instance, let's go here to the attributes, in this case not the attributes, on the request itself, the parameters. So here you can see, of course, we pass the CSRF token that it's necessary. Then we have name, email, reason, and notes. So what I want to do now is, how can we put this on the database using Laravel? So Laravel has mostly 2 ways to insert data in the database. One is using a Query Builder. That is actually a class that Laravel gives to you. Another way is using Eloquent. And Eloquent is an active pattern, an active record pattern on the database. In this case, it will use your tables as objects that we will create. We'll see that in the next lesson. So on this first lesson, we'll use a more simple way. There is actually not a more simple way. It's just one way there is to use the Query Builder. Eloquent actually transforms and abstracts a lot of information that you don't need to do on the Query Builder, and then you use it immediately as an object, in this case a table as an object. And we're going to see on the next one that, and then it gets more clear to you. So here we are just going to do a normal insert on the database. So if you're used to PHP, you might use something like MySQL query, and then you'll do like insert into, and then you put your clause here, correct? And in Laravel, you don't need to actually do this. So we have what is called a Query Builder that comes with a static object called DB. So if I do here an F5 on my Sublime text, it says it successfully imported the facade DB here on the top. So now I have support facades DB. And from now on, I can use a Query Builder to then build a query that will be executed on the database, okay? So in this case, of course, you need to have your configuration previously made on the .env file right here for the DB connection. And now, in this case, it's simple. So the Query Builder, we just start by defining the object itself, and then we pass the table, on this case, as an example that we want to use. So we want to use the table contact us. And now I want to actually do an insert. So it's as simple as it is. We just write it as we are actually speaking, like DB on the table contact us. That is the table that we have here. Then insert something. Now, when we do the insert, we pass an array that you can have here, and actually you can actually pass a collection of arrays if you want, or you can pass just one single array instance with the keys that you want to insert. So in this case we have, let me see just the fields here. I have the columns called name, email, reason, and notes. So I pass name, and then I access the request. I get the input called name, and then I move on for the next one. The next one will be email, right? So I'm just going to put it here, request input. There's several ways for you to access that. So we are using the request because this request was already validated, as you know, right? So in case you were using, just as a side conversation here, in case you're using not this request, but you want to access the request itself instantiated via dependency injection, all you need to do is just use the helper request, and then you can also do input and then pass the field. It also works exactly on the same way. But here on this case, we followed the code by the book here that says so. So I'm just going to put the next one here, and I think it was notes, correct? Email, reason. So reason request input reason, and finally we have the notes, and so I'm just going to put here request input notes. Now you might be aware that this might be enough, right? Because we have the 4 fields. But as you can see here, when we created the migration file, we implemented here also timestamps, that is created at and updated at. So if you go back here to the database, migrations, and then contact us, create us, and then when we did the example for the updates, you see there is this table timestamps. When you pass that, Laravel actually creates the created at and updated at. You can also pass a soft deletes. And the logic about the soft deletes is that Laravel will actually create here soft deletes like this. So Laravel will actually create a new column that is the deleted at, and that column will be used to deactivate your record. The record, when you delete a record, it's not going to actually be deleted when you use, of course, the Query Builder or the Eloquent, but it will actually be deactivated by having a timestamp on that column called deleted at. So we will always have the information, although it's not going to be directly accessible when you just access the information via your Eloquent object on that case. But we'll see that on the next lesson. So coming back to our example here, I just put the table insert, and then I put the 4 fields. Well, it's going to give an error because created at and updated at are they cannot be null, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just see here very quickly. Alter table. Yeah, actually they can. Sorry, they don't have the not null, so they can be null. So I'm not expecting an error here. Let's see. And at the end, all you need to do here is, of course, you want to return back to your view, right? So in this case, return. And then you just need to write it down, view, and then make, and then you pass the name of the view that you want to return here, or you can use the helper just like view, and then you just write, for instance, contact us form, and it will be wise if you then pass a field here where you can say something like message, and then we are going to write thanks for your contact. We will get back to you soon. And we are going to see how we can show this. First, let me just do a stop here, so we can then see on the database if the things were getting there or not before giving error, because, or at least not giving error, but going back to the form. So it says stop. And then here, let me just do quickly select all from contact us. And here we go. Bruno, email, reason, tech support, notes. How simple can this be? As simple as this, nothing else, using the DB Query Builder. You pass the table, you pass the insert. Of course, you have the update, you have the delete, you have a lot of methods that Laravel helps you to use a Query Builder. Query Builder is exactly as it is. You use methods to construct a query, okay? And Laravel helps you a lot on that, meaning the fact that it uses mechanisms to protect your queries in terms of trying to have some kind of SQL injection, for instance. So it's always useful if you can use the methods from the query builder if you really want to use a query builder. Or if you want to use Eloquent, then you are even more protected. Although in case of Eloquent, as we're going to see on the next lesson, the Laravel framework needs to construct that object and not only execute the query. So again, getting back here, simple as this, they will contact us. Then we have the dump and die here. So let's just finalize very quickly with this return view contact us form with the message. So at this moment, if I do an F5, I go back to the same information that I have here. It doesn't say anything. Very simple. We're just going to put the message at the end. So let me go here to the resources, view contact us form, exactly. And at the end, the only thing that I'm going to see, it's not pretty, okay, but I will just put a div, and I'm going to just write a directive called if is set. So if you have a variable called message, then what we're going to show is just to show that message. Okay, so end is set. And basically what Laravel will do is if this message is coming, then of course it will show that at the end. So I'm going to create another one, John Smith, John at laravel.com, wherever, and then notes, my notes again. And when I do send information, sorry, it says cannot use is set on this expression. Is set, sorry, I made a small mistake. Of course, I need to pass the variable itself and not a string. Thank you for your contact. We'll get back to you soon. So again, if you go to contact us, well, because I made an F5, he resubmitted the form. So that's why I have two duplicates here. Okay, so it's just because of that. But as you can see, you can use like the isset directive to then if you have the message here, and then you show the message that it's coming. There is several ways to do this that we already saw before in terms of passing parameters. This is just a simple way for you to see it. Of course, you can use it on your project or in a different way. Okay, that's it. So wrapping up, we use the Query Builder DB alias in this case to construct our query. Then we execute insert. It translates everything that we have inside the array to the query insert, uses the table contact us, and then we just return the view with a message just to make it different to show to the user that said thanks for your contact. Now on the next lesson, we are going to learn how to do exactly the same but using Eloquent. So stay tuned and thank you very much for watching. See you again on the next lesson. Bye bye.